Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dial the Gate. I'm Gary Jones. You might know me as the Chevron guy or Chief Master Sergeant Walter Harriman. Essentially, my job was so important that if I didn't open and close the gate, you would have never seen Richard and Dean Anderson come back down the ramp. So what can I say? And I guess part of what I'm doing here is I'm allowing fans to come into your world the way that the show allowed the SG1 team to come into yours. So I'm speaking today to Paul Fowler and his daughter, Kiersten. Kiersten and Paul, how are you?
Wonderful.
I mean, wonderful.
Great to see you.
Great to see you too. Paul, you look like what room are you in? You're just in a...
Oh, I blank background. I just painted these walls, so I want to show them off. I figured instead of a mess behind me, but...
All right. Okay, good. And Kiersten, where are you? You guys are in different cities?
Yeah, I live in Jersey City, right across the river from Manhattan, and I'm in my living room. Very exciting.
Great. Across the river from Manhattan. That's your reference point. As soon as you say Manhattan, because I can actually say I'm on the other side of the country to Manhattan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm in Vancouver. I'm 3,000 miles away from Manhattan, but as long as I say Manhattan, I just sound like very uptown. And where are you, Paul?
Right across the river from Philadelphia.
Ah.
So close, but not too close.
Okay, cool. And
good hour and a half drive up to her.
Yeah?
Oh,
that's not that far.
Nah.
That's not that far. I mean, it'd be quicker if we did have a Stargate. I mean, how many times have you wished in your life that you had a Stargate? How many?
I can't count. I just can't count. Or rings, even rings. I'll take them.
Yeah?
This is a lame answer. Every single time I jump in a pool, because the pool is the closest I can get to what it might feel like to go through a Stargate.
Right.
I see the waves and everything. So every time I jump in, I think of the Stargate.
The kawoosh. Every time you jump in, you create your own kawoosh. Yeah. So we talked in Chicago a couple of years ago, didn't we?
Yes.
And you know, you've mentioned about how kind of the show sort of brought you and your daughters together, and you kind of bonded over the show. Tell me a little bit about that.
Kiersten, you want to go first?
Oh, well, that's pretty easy. From my perspective, I was just a little girl who wanted to hang out with her daddy.
Yeah.
And I wanted to watch what he watched just to, be there with him. But what is so wonderful about Stargate, besides the fact that it's family friendly and it touches on all these social issues, is like, even as a child, like I loved it. And I loved watching it. And then it just kind of so happened, like as the years went on and I got older, like I was still coming down like, okay, is it Stargate time?
Yeah, it was great memories. It's Friday night, Stargate night. New episodes are coming out. We got to watch it.
Yep. I remember like the old couches too, like throughout the years that we would sit on when we watched it.
Oh,
like
yeah.
The green one.
Yes.
Do you remember that green couch, Paul?
Oh, I do. That was a bad couch.
Good enough though to watch TV.
Yes.
It's a good thing the show was never, titled Star Couch. That the leads would just sit in a couch and just kind of travel through time on a couch. They wouldn't really do much. It's good that it was like Stargate.
I think it would be a little anticlimactic if they just like sit down like a couch potato and then boom in a different universe.
Yeah, exactly.
It might pull things out of cushions and stuff. Oh, here, I got a Zach gun. I have this.
That'd be smart. They could surprise them like.
Oh my God. See, that's where you need a show like Time Couch. And you have just a guy who's just like a couch potato, doesn't do anything, but it does this magic couch that just travels through time. And like you say, he just reaches behind the cushions and whatever he needs to help save the day, it's fallen behind the cushions. Wouldn't you watch a show like that? You'd watch a show like that, right? Stargate, not Stargate, Time Couch. I'd watch that show.
It's original.
And of course, you would have to be in charge of the time machine, date locked in, time locked in.
Yeah.
And
Or I'd be the, like, my character would be the upholsterer, like I'd be, the equivalent to the technician on the show. I'd be the upholsterer. So whenever he came back and, whatever adventures he went through, I'd be like, oh my God, what did you do to these cushions? What the hell what happened? I've got to get this on the sewing machine and fix up these cushions. So that's what I would be. And of course, like I started out on Stargate, having no name, I would just be the upholsterer,
Trying to picture the Stargate characters like on the couch and who's sitting next to who. I can only imagine like the antics that would happen. Because there's no way O'Neill would not completely lay out on the couch and take up the whole thing with his head back.
Oh, exactly. You'd really get to see the different statuses by like who sat where and how much space they took up. And if I was in the script as the upholsterer, I know the fans would just like, they'd find a way to just call me the cushion guy or something like that. like they did with the Chevron guy. It'd be like, oh, you're the cushion guy. Yeah. And I don't have a name yet. I won't have a name for 10 years.
Yeah. Well, your name will given to you by another character, either Hammond or, Richard Dean Anderson. In one episode, he's like, Walter?
Yeah, I know, Walter. And I remember being in the scene and just looking at him and going, who's he talking to? I because it was Richard Dean, I was like, he's the lead. When he said that, I thought, oh my God, did I miss that in the script? Because I was reading my lines and I would look for, I would read his lines, but not really concentrate on his lines. I would be more, listening for my cue line. But I thought, did I actually miss being called Walter? And I think because it took place in the episode 2010, and it was in the future, I thought, well, maybe my character's name, it's just a different name, or I'm not the same guy. I couldn't figure it out until after the scene was shot, and then they came over to Richard and said, by the way, he said, Rick, Gary's name is not Walter. And he goes, well, it is now. Because basically that was him saying, we're not reshooting that. It was like, I called him Walter and that's his name now. So people figure it out, and then slowly but surely after that episode, I just saw my name. Like I went from Norman Davis to suddenly I was Norman Walter Davis, like in the script. And I was like, oh my God, the power of the star of the show. He's like, yeah, that's who he is now.
And then you're Walter now.
Yeah. And then I think after that, they were like, okay, well, he can't be Norman Walter Davis. It's like 3 names. And they got rid of Norman. So then I was Walter Davis. And then shortly after that, that's when Don Davis, God, was like, and there was another Davis, like a Major Davis in the show too. I said to Brad once, I said, do you have a Davis key on your keyboard where you're writing scripts and you can't come up with a name, you just hit the Davis key and it just like automatically assigns the name Davis to a character? And he's like, yeah, I think I do. But Don Davis was the one who was asking me to open the iris, and he said, open the iris, Harriman. But he was saying airman, like, because I was in the Air Force. And it was written, and it was the first time that it was actually written in the script, airman, that he was calling the airman, like, you're an Air Force guy. But because of Don's mangled Missouri accent, open the iris, Harriman. And he just said that, he said it like that every time. And I was like, okay. And I knew it was airman in the script, so it didn't make any, it didn't mean anything to me. I was like, yeah, okay, opening that. And then after we shot the scene, I heard them talking, the script supervisor talking to the director, because I can't remember which episode it was. And they were like, what did Don say? Like that's how strong Don's accent was. They were like, what did Don just say? And it's like, Open the Iris Airman. Yeah, but it didn't sound like Airman. It sounded like Harriman. Harriman. Right? And they were like, okay, well then his name's Harriman. Like that's literally how it happened.
Slap it on, that's the name.
and so Dawn was the one who inadvertently named me Harriman. And then finally they went, okay, well then he's no longer Norman Davis, he's Walter Harriman. And I just like I just moved into another complete set of names.
I mean, at least that was on TV. Something similar to that happened to me in real life, where oddly enough, I have, who's now a very like close friend. I met this very eccentric fellow who I introduced myself. I go, hi, I'm Kiersten. He goes, nice to meet you, Jasmine. And then just continued to call me Jasmine every time we hung out. He just decided that was my name. And I would correct him and he would be like, sounds good, Jasmine. And to this day, we still talk about it because he finally gave it up. It took like a year. I was Jasmine for a year.
Really?
Yeah. He's just a really funny guy. I don't know why he did it. I asked him and he just said, because I felt like it.
That's funny. That's pretty funny.
So I know what it's like to be given a name involuntarily, but only
well, for me, it just meant that I was further, embedded in the show, because they're not going to mess around and change names and keep me there. And I swear it's probably the only time in a show over the course of 10 years that the same character has had a complete name change. I can't think of any other shows that I know of where they did that. I mean, sometimes they've kept the character's name and switched the actor. That's happened in various shows, right? But not kept the actor and switched the names. That's just wild to me. What so you guys used to get together and bond over Stargate. What are some of your favorite episodes that you remember kind of hanging out and enjoying? What episodes jump to mind?
A bunch, to be honest with you. Of course, Children of the Gods, I finally got her involved in that. Now, not the Showtime version, the director's cut.
Right.
But Lost City was a good one. She came down, we saw Lost City together. That's when everything was exciting. Atlantis was starting,
yeah.
The Stargate universe or franchise was getting better. Window of Opportunity, of course. I mean, that's just hilarious.
That was so funny. It gets me every single time.
Great. That's
what do you
wonderful. Think of? My favorite would be Heroes Part 1 and 2, because that's when I got to do that. Be interviewed by Saul Rubinek and say, I open and close the gate. That's pretty much my job. I mean, that was Rob Cooper, the producer and writer, just making fun of my character. And that's all I did. That's really all I did. I looked like I did more, but I opened and closed the gate. So yeah. And that was really, really fun to shoot, because it was funny dialogue and it was just a blast. But listen, speaking of window opportunity, I'm just going to wrap it up now and thank both of you for joining me today. It's been really great talking to you. And actually, I love the fact that even, forget just being in person, that we were actually able to do it again in Zoom. So in whatever iteration it's shown up in, we've managed to pull it off. So Paul and Jasmine, thank you so much for joining me.
No, thank you so much for this window of opportunity. It really was so wonderful. And it shows how tight-knit the Stargate fan community really is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. It does. Hey, Kiersten, this is kind of cool because you've actually gone that extra mile and dressed up as a Stargate character. Can you tell us a little bit about the character and something about the costume?
Oh, of course. Well, first I thought everyone might be surprised that Adria was still alive, seemingly.
Yeah, we are.
But no, the costume was really fun to make. I have a friend, Kelsey, who does some tailoring, and she's more into the Renaissance theme, which is why I think you see some of that patterning here. But the hardest part to make, absolutely, I have to stand for this, is these sleeves. And I know Adria had yellow in the middle, but we just like could not get that to seem right. So we did this and the orange dress, and I had this beautiful necklace. It's gone now. But I picked Adria because she's such a strong character. And even though she's the bad guy, she has that like female power about her of being so, I don't know, her leadership and the way she looks at things was very different than mine. And I'm always somebody who loves the good guy, or like, say, like the Knox, for example. And it was just fun to try to be a villain for once and to dress up as someone who, just as her personality, kind of looked up to, because she did seem to have some conflict with the Ori and her mother and everything going on. And even though she chose the wrong path, I think she had the potential to have chosen another path if maybe she was led in a different direction.
I think villains don't usually think of themselves as villains. So rather than refer to us as her as a villain, why don't we just call her a badass?
Yeah, that's actually
right?
how I felt when I watched her. She was a badass.
She's a badass, and you can have a badass hero or a badass villain, and I think badass just about covers it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And even though it was conquering of the universe, it felt very cool to be someone different and to come to Stargate Con dressed up as someone who wants to conquer the universe.
Great.
With my little sister as the Knox, who just wants peace and to be left alone.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for going the extra mile and getting a costume made and showing up and telling us all about it. That's brilliant.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Talk to you later, you badass.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this episode. Hey, do you want to share your Stargate story on air with me? Email the show at dialthegateshow@gmail.com. That's dialthegateshow@gmail.com. Tell us a little bit about how Stargate has helped you grow as a person or affected your life in a positive way. And I'll be recording more fan interviews in 2021. And you might be next. See you next time.